Cedar Fair is one of the most well-known operators for amusement parks in North America. The company is known to essentially be a better Six Flags. All of the problems people have with those parks are improved upon here. Better landscaping, better operations, better food offerings, better customer service, etc., etc. With 11 parks in the United States and 1 in Canada, today we'll be stacking them all up in a list from worst to best. Just a heads up though, I haven't been to every Cedar Fair park out there. I have been to an overwhelming majority though, with only 2 needed to complete the entire chain. But because I want this to be a complete list, and because it's fairly obvious where these 2 parks would rank, I'll be using consensus and predictions to feature them in this video. The last thing I'll say before we dive in is if you could do me the favor of liking this video and subscribing to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. We're getting awfully close to 10,000 subscribers, and the goal of getting there before New Year's is becoming more and more of a possibility. With that being said, let's get into the list. These are the Cedar Fair parks ranked from worst to best. Number 12, Gilroy Gardens in Gilroy, California. The only park on this list not entirely owned by Cedar Fair is actually only operated by them, but it does qualify and does have some familiar qualities like similar signage, fast lane, and you can even enter with the Cedar Fair Platinum Pass. With that being said, this park feels, and to an extent is, more family owned. It's an absolutely beautiful park with some really cool theming and a great atmosphere. The singular reason why it lands itself in last place is because it's strictly a family park. There isn't a single thrill ride at Gilroy Gardens, which is fine for what it is, but a family park isn't going to cut it in this list. I'm very glad I got to visit this quaint little park in November because I walked away pretty impressed. My 2 cents was that you come for the credits and stay for the gardens. Not a bad way to start off the list. Number 11, Michigan's Adventure in Muskegon, Michigan. Despite the hate that this park gets online, those who really take the chance to visit themselves don't seem to have too many negatives to say about it. Starting with the coaster collection, it's gotta be the weakest of all the major Cedar Fair parks on the list. The exception is Shivering Timbers, as that ride looks underrated and jam-packed with airtime. Otherwise, they've got 2 subpar wooden coasters, a Vekoma SLC, and an Arrow Wild Mouse to satisfy thrill seekers. But is that really enough to satisfy thrill seekers? I'm not so sure. The park definitely deserves a new signature edition after years of neglect and investment, but Michigan's Adventure does at least look good from what I hear, and it has a huge lake in the center of the park. It seems like a pleasant place to be, and plus Shivering Timbers is an outstanding wooden coaster, but other than that, a lot is left to be desired. Number 10, Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, Missouri. Staying in the Midwestern United States is another smaller Cedar Fair property. This park ranks higher than Michigan's Adventure for having a deeper collection of rides. Coaster-wise, Prowler is an exceptional GCI coaster, Timberwolf is a great classic Woody, Patriot is a fun B&M invert, and Mamba is an okay Morgan Hyper. This top 4 outclasses Michigan's Adventure's whole lineup alone, not even to mention any of the non-coasters. Worlds of Fun is also a pretty scenic park with lots of trees and shaded areas, though I will admit some sections felt a bit empty with a lack of atmosphere. That's something that was more prevalent here than any of the other Cedar Fair parks I've been to. My conclusion is, would I come back? Yes, but they'd have to add something new. It's a little out of the way on a coaster road trip, and the park has limited offerings compared to others on this list. But still, Worlds of Fun did what its name suggested and made for a generally fun experience. Number 9, Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania. First visiting in 2018 and then returning in 2020, my thoughts on this park have retained itself throughout both visits. And actually, I have a few negative things to say about this park. I've always really enjoyed the atmosphere and landscaping of Dorney, plus their lineup is pretty comparable to Worlds of Fun. Unfortunately, they don't have a true standout coaster, which is keeping me from wanting to come back when there's so many superior options nearby. But they do have a great supporting cast with 2 unique B&Ms, a rare Intimate Impulse, and a Morgan Hyper that I'd gladly take over Mamba at Worlds of Fun. This park also has a really good flat ride collection for its size. Demon Drop is debatably a credit, but regardless, makes for a very nerve-wracking and awesome experience. There's also several other non-coasters that back it up quite nicely. I always really enjoy myself at this place, and the only thing truly keeping it from getting higher on this list is its sheer competition. Number 8, Valley Fair in Shakopee, Minnesota. The chain's second ever amusement park is located just outside of Minneapolis. This park has a very comparable coaster lineup to the past 2 parks on this list, but what especially gives it the edge is a killer top 2 for its size. Renegade is an intense GCI that is just about even, if not better than Prowler for me. But then Excalibur is a unique era mine train on steroids that'd actually take over anything else at Dorney Park and Worlds of Fun. Other than that, they've got the only impulse coaster with a holding brake in Steel Venom, a classic Woody with plenty of airtime and High Roller, and a below average Morgan Hyper but a Hyper nonetheless called Wild Thing. Additionally, they have a similar in-quality flat ride lineup to Dorney Park, many of which you can find at some of the upper tier Cedar Fair parks too. Lastly, Valley Fair is landscaped beautifully and the front half is really nice to be in. I doubt I'll be back here for a long time, but when the day does eventually come, I'll be looking forward to a revisit. Number 7, California's Great America in Santa Clara, California. From here, there's a big jump up from Valley Fair because all of the top 7 parks on here are fantastic. A few years back, Great America would have potentially been lower on this list, but after receiving various park upgrades and 2 stellar coaster additions, it's gotten so much better. Matter of fact, this park has one of the best top 2 lineups of any Cedar Fair park. Railblazer and Gold Striker are both phenomenal rides that find their way into my top 25 coasters I've been on. From there, the collection drops off and lacks the depth of the upcoming parks. It's still got enough to keep you busy for a day, but it just cannot counter with any of the top 6. With that said, it makes up for this in being a very well-kept park. It's a beautiful place with great operations, great atmosphere, and great nightlife. If you can only visit one theme park in Northern California, this should by far be your top choice. Number 6, Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California. Heading down the state is a park that opened under a family business. In 1997, though, Cedar Fair acquired their first true year-round property, and from what I've gathered, they mostly took great care of it. Now I say mostly because there is one thing that can really break one's experience here. For a Cedar Fair park, and especially a typically crowded one, I'm not sure what the deal is with this park's operations. They just are not good on any of the major attractions. But where it has that critique, it makes up for it in numerous other aspects. Knott's is the only true theme park in the chain, with the wonderful Ghost Town section and various themed non-coaster attractions. These are all great, especially the dark rides and water rides, but Knott's is able to counteract this with its coaster lineup as well. Ghost Rider is a spectacular wooden coaster, Accelerator has one of the most intense launches out there, and Hang Time is a good third place fit. In all honesty, I'd probably take the lineup of coasters at Great America over Knott's collection, but most everything else about this park is superior. The atmosphere, the theming, the non-coasters, it always keeps me coming back for more. Number 5, Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina. Although this park is predominantly located in Charlotte, it actually stretches between both North and South Carolina. This is one of the things the park is most well known for, as it's the only place in the world where you can experience massive coasters that fly through multiple states. Speaking of, Carowinds deserves a mention for its coaster lineup alone. At the top, Fury 325 is one of the best rides I've ever been on. This B&M Giga coaster packs in some outrageous speed, pacing, and intensity. I also really liked Copperhead Strike, Afterburn, and Intimidator as well. Additionally, I found that there was a surprising amount of underrated filler coasters here too. Even though Nighthawk, Vortex, and Hurler get a lot of hate, I found some strengths in each and every one of them. Now away from the coasters, I want to address my overall thoughts on the park. Most coaster fans would rank Carowinds higher than my number 4 and possibly number 3 park on the list. For me personally though, I thought that this park felt sort of like a quintessential amusement park in some areas. So many people like to rave about this park's charm and atmosphere, but I thought it was fairly average for its size. Still, it is a wonderful park with a great ride lineup. I'd 100% recommend coming here if you live anywhere close. Number 4, King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. What can I say? I think King's Dominion is a better time than Carowinds. It's a stunningly beautiful park with some especially great areas like International Street and Candy Apple Grove. It's got a lively atmosphere, great food options, acceptable operations, and one of the best top 2 lineups of any park in the world. Intimidator 305 may as well be the best roller coaster I've ever been on. It's the one ride I've experienced where I need to take a second to gather myself on the brake run. Twisted Timbers is also a world-class coaster, with so many airtime moments of which are as strong as you could possibly want them to be. On my first visit in 2018, I was also able to enjoy Volcano the Blast Coaster, which was an exceptional launched inverted coaster. Unfortunately, that ride is no longer around with us anymore, but I still think Dominator makes up for it. That's an underrated third place coaster for this park, and one of the best floorless coasters out there. I do admit that the supporting cast of rides afterwards isn't as deep as Carowinds, but for me, and I know this is unpopular, just about everything King's Dominion does is better than Carowinds. Both are fantastic parks, please don't get me wrong on that, but if you can only visit one, I'd slightly choose King's Dominion. Number 3, Canada's Wonderland in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. Although I haven't visited this park since 2019, I had such a great time here. And just a heads up, this is one of the few parks on here that you'll really need 2 days at to experience everything. Coaster-wise, this park actually has the 3rd most roller coasters of any park in the world, but granted many of them are mediocre or lackluster. Those at the top, however, shape one of the best B&M lineups out there. Leviathan is an absolute speed machine, Behemoth is one of the world's best B&M hypers, and Yukon Striker has a huge and unique layout for a dive coaster. Otherwise, the flat rides more than make up for the drop-off in coaster quality. I could not believe how many quality flat rides this park had on offer. I had such a good time on Sledgehammer and Skyhawk especially, but there's also a giant frisbee and some other really unique attractions. Aside from the rides, this park is beautiful and atmospheric. The centerpiece with Wonder Mountain is stunning, and there's this Canadian charm sprinkled throughout. It also has a couple sections that are decently well themed, making this probably the 2nd most themed park in the chain behind Knott's Berry Farm. Canada's signature park should really not be missed, as it's a destination for thrill seekers in my opinion. I love this place, and it really did make for one of the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had at a corporate park. Number 2, Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. One of the 2 Cedar Fair parks I've yet to visit, ranks all the way at number 2 because it is usually considered to be very well rounded. For coasters, Kings Island is a bit lacking at the top for the caliber of park that it is, but they do still have some great rides such as Mystic Timbers, Orion, Diamondback, and Banshee. Plus, they've got one of the deepest collections afterwards in the world. Additionally, I hear nothing but good things about the atmosphere, operations, food, and customer service. As I said, I haven't been here yet, so I can't confirm anything, but the park does appear to be pretty fantastic in all areas. I really hope to experience experience Kings Island next season, since I know a lot of you guys are eager for me to get out here. Number 1, Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. The chain's flagship park has undoubtedly the best collection of roller coasters of any park out there. I don't say this with too much emphasis since I think most of you guys watching are well aware, but I really should be because they have a stupidly deep lineup. At the top, you have the most well-rounded top 4 in the world. Steel Vengeance is arguably the best coaster on our planet with an endless series of airtime hills in various configurations. Top Thrill Dragster is personally my second favorite ride here with a really short ride time but extremely intense series of elements. Then Maverick is a world-class Intamin Blitz coaster, and Millennium Force is an outstanding coaster in the front row. Behind these top 4 are a long and diverse list of modern and classic record breakers. You've got Magnum XL 200, Raptor, Gatekeeper, Gemini, Blue Streak, Rougarou, Valraven, and much more. Seriously, there is so much on offer here to the point where you'll need to make a whole trip out of it if you haven't been here before. Cedar Point is highly regarded as a rite of passage for coaster fans, and rightfully so. It's just a magical place, it's beautiful, and it has the best collection of thrill machines on our planet. With that, I thank you all so much for watching today's video. Cedar Fair parks range in many different areas and some are better than others, but I think it's important to recognize the strengths of them all. Every park on this list is a good time and all have some fun stuff on offer. With that being said, definitely let me know how you'd rank the Cedar Fair parks you've been to in the comments section below. Also, as I stated before, don't forget to help us reach 10,000 subscribers before New Year's. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.